Hey, much mercy to you, brothers out there. Much peace. May the Lord continue to increase you, brothers out there in understanding the Lord and His new covenant, His new agreement, and which began in the first century after the Lord died on the cross. The new covenant been started. It's a spiritual thing which has nothing to do with the acknowledgement of the flesh. That's what a lot of men get wrong. They think this is something where you have to be acknowledged. You're of the new covenant, or you have to be acknowledged by men that you're with God, or you're in a covenant. It's nothing about men acknowledging you. This is all about you and your personal belief and your relationship with the Lord. And that's why the Lord said you don't have to be at a certain mountain to worship the Lord. And like I've said before, it's best that you're not even in no synagogue or no group, because men that are in groups are dominated by carnal minds and evil men, and men that have an ulterior motive. So it's good to when the scripture talk about the straight gate, this is a path where one can go down, and the one going down that path is going to be with God. He's not going to be waiting on anything. And so that's a doctrine of procrastination. That's a doctrine of a devil, because the Lord said, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. There's no in between. There's no lukewarm spirit if you're of the Lord, if you're with the Lord. So can nothing good come from something evil, man? And you have to understand this. So I'm learning myself that if you're internally evil, can nothing good come out of that? So what's good? Salvation, the Lord's new covenant that He started. But if you're not good, you're not going to be of it. You're not going to be in it. You're going to teach against it, because that's just Satan getting you to unbelieve. So the goal with this whole thing is getting men to practice unbelief. You see? So what I want to do, I want to read Matthew 7. And just go over this, because the Lord was speaking here, and He goes into entering a straight gate. And it's a difficult gate, not only because it's a straight gate. It's a difficult gate because everybody's not going to be walking that particular gate. They're going to look down on that gate. They're going to hate on that gate. The unbelieving are not going to be in a straight gate. To be in a straight gate doesn't mean, to be in a straight gate, you can't be in a broad path, man. So you can't be in a broad path in groups, or at this mountain, or at that mountain. You have to be in a straight path. Like the Lord say, which is the difficult path, because the path that where many are, that is the easiest path. So that's not a straight gate. Guys get the straight gate mixed up with it. That guys talking about they're in the straight gate, but they're in the broad path. You see, and so you have to understand, when the Lord meant a straight gate, there's only the Lord said only few will find it. And so the Lord was constantly warning us to beware. And Paul warns us too. He said, beware of dogs and evil workers. And these will be men of the circumcision, which their whole goal is to keep you in an unbelieving state, because really, this truth ain't about the world. It's all about you getting yourself together and you repenting and you working on your inner self. And we all, need maintenance and we're working on ourselves. But a lot of men just ain't in no shape, fashion, or form to teach anybody. Especially if you're teaching unbelief and you're pushing doubt and you're pushing hate. You're not in no position and you're teaching men the world. You see, if you want to learn about the world, go be a news reporter at CNN, man. That's not what the Bible is about. The Bible is about now. It's not even about bloodlines, which, you could teach on that, but that's not the main thing. That is not the heaviest matters of the Bible now. So what I'm learning is you really have to have these heaviest matters to really exhort them and to really teach them. And so what men are showing, that the majority of guys that's teaching the Bible, they have nothing to do with this. They have nothing to do with this. It's, for the majority of guys teaching the Bible, I'm going to just say this, man, it's just an act, man. We just got a bunch of actors which don't have anything to do with the fruits of the Spirit or getting themselves together internally. Because if you're not right within yourself, really, we might all have some flaws or whatever, but inherently, if you're evil and you're teaching unbelief and hate, which the majority of people, they're in the evil state and they're unable to actually believe, because that is not to believe. That is a good trait. To have mercy, that is something good. And so that's not in no broad path. That's not. Everybody doesn't have love. Everybody don't believe. So you can't be in a straight gate in a broad path where many are, teaching racism. And the new covenant is not about racism. It's not about proving who's the chosen race or who the law was given to originally. It's about believing without any race involved. And Paul says he is a Jew, which is one inwardly. So that crushes the carnal aspect of Jews. So the only true Jews and Israelites is the ones that are one inwardly now. Matter of fact, before I get Matthew 7, let's read this in Romans. So the new covenant is totally different from the Old Testament, which the law was given to Israel. That's something to be proud about. You knowing that you're chosen. Your people were chosen at a certain point, and the laws were given to them. But you also, with that understanding, when you teach that, you also have to teach that they broke the law that was given to them. And so now what the Lord did, what Paul explains, now he turns to the Gentiles. It's just as simple as that. So, like what we see, which is the truth, is the Israelites being provoked to jealousy, telling everybody they can't make it because of their race. You see? And so all of us, we're not like that. I'm not like that. I don't look at people as their race. Uh I look at people in their spirit. That's how I look at it. That's how you should. If you're a real teacher of the new covenant, let's just say you're teaching the new covenant for a good reason, for honest and a sincere reason, then you're not looking at this as race. Let's just say if you're teaching the Bible, period, in a sincere state, you're not looking at people for their race. You're looking at people how their character is, how their spirit is. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot of you prove that you're on a low level, by you teaching that. So who clings to that is people that are of the flesh. that's trying to prove that, yeah, we're chosen. Yeah, your people were chosen, but the other side to that is that they broke that law that the Lord gave to them. Matter of fact, soon as they got that law, Moses came down off the mountain. They broke it. You see, they was worshiping the golden calf. So to steady throw race, you gotta look at it. To steady throw race in it all the time, that is evil. That's not of the spirit. That just means you're carnal and you don't really have a place in the spirit. So you try to make men feel like they're out of place because of their race and the flesh. You get what I'm saying? So can't nothing good come out of somebody that's evil that's doing that. And you're not supposed to take the Bible and do that. That's why the Lord will set up certain men to bring out certain things. And that's right. You just because you're reciting what Jeremiah said and what Isaiah said, and usually that don't make you of the Lord, bro. Because now you gotta get up to date. You gotta go to the New Testament when John the Baptist was bringing the Lord, and you really gotta look at it. What was John the Baptist introducing to us? He was introducing the new way. He was introducing the Lord. He baptized the Lord. And eventually, because of what the Lord was teaching, he was what? He was killed. He was murdered. He was spit on. He was hated. What do guys do? They hate the new covenant. They're not in it. What they're telling you, that they're not of the Lord. They're not of the Spirit. They hate the new covenant because Gentiles can repent to it. But that's just the truth of it. And the truth about it is you could teach race all day, but all what matters is your belief. So men can try to push race and make this seem like this is something racial, but this whole thing is of the spirit. And Gentiles were being accepted. Gentiles were brought into this in the first century. Paul was a big minister of that. Even the Lord was. So a lot of you guys just by you teaching this thing of race, and you can't accept certain of other races that believe. We never said all. We ain't saying all Israelites, but certain of them can believe. It ain't up to none of you. Even you could teach against it. And so what a lot of you gonna learn is, well, you're learning it. It's just that you hate it. That your whole ministry, you teaching this of the flesh, it was all in vain. And a lot of guys are learning that. I seen this one video, and I mean, it's harp on it, but a lot of people, men are waking up to that false doctrine of camps pushing race, bro. That's a low level. That's a carnal vibration, always making this about race. Okay, Israel was chosen. Okay, tell the other part when they broke that law. This is let me read this real quick. Romans 2:28. I'm gonna just go right to the point, because it's not about you being of the circumcision and the law was given to your people. This is about you being of the Lord internally of the spirit. Now anybody can be of the Lord internally of their spirit. It's not about holding something over somebody's head like, hey, I'm chosen and you're not, like a kid. That's how guys look. Oh, we're chosen, and it says who was chosen. Okay, well, what is Paul talking about right here? Romans 2:28, for he is not a Jew, which is one inwardly, neither is that circumcision, which is outwardly in the flesh. For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly. So you're not a Jew just because of something outwardly, but your flesh is of a Jew. But he is a Jew which is one inwardly, which circumcision is of the heart now, in the spirit, not of the latter, whose praise is not of men but of God. So now, by you understanding that this ain't about nothing of the flesh, then you can understand why the Lord said this is not a broad path. Now, the straight gate is something that is an internal path that you have to walk, and the Lord says few will find it. Matthew 7:13, enter ye in at the straight gate. This is where you have to enter it in at. And you enter this in your mind. That's why the kingdom of heaven, when, like I say, guys always say the kingdom, what they're not understanding is that you enter into the kingdom through your mind. So a lot of guys show that they're not even in the kingdom because of how they're thinking in their spirit. If you're hooked on race, bro, you don't have a kingdom mentality. You don't even have a ruler mentality of the kingdom of what the Lord is really explaining about. And remember, the Lord, he taught this because he had compassion. A lot of you guys are just teaching because you think this is the next fad, or you teaching this because you want to get some money out of it, or a lot of you guys are just teaching because you're just evil anyway. So you just want to teach a misunderstanding because a lot of you are the flesh. So when you teach men that this is about race, and you make this about race, and you're not making this of the spirit, when you're not really explaining the fruits of the spirit, then you have nothing to do with what the Bible is really saying. And you see, pushing that vibration of hate and, oh, you can't this because you're this race. Guys don't really see that is a low vibrational spirit, and that's why too a lot of guys don't look right. They got gray hairs. I mean, like it's like guys younger than me got gray hairs, like a lot, and guys don't look right because they're aging fast, because they're teaching death and they're holding to a ministration of death. Why do you think Paul says the ministration of death? The old law was not of faith, man. That was a carnal law where everything you had to do had to be for the flesh. So when guys show you these garments, that's of the flesh. When guys put that fist in the camera and put their face in the camera, that's all of the flesh. When guys say that the Israel's a chosen race, and they just emphasize that, and they don't emphasize the fruits of the spirit, they're of the flesh. So the Lord says, matter of fact, let's go up. Matthew 7:11. It says, if you then being evil know how to give good gift unto your children, matter of fact, that's not the one. It's down here. It's down. Let me keep reading this. Matthew 7:13. Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way which leadeth. Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way which leadeth to destruction. So if men's doctrine is destruction and missiles and death and hate and race, and then that is the broad path. It has nothing to do with the straight gate, because the straight gate is something that everybody's not going to agree with. So the majority of the world is carnal by default. So the gospel is not about the news. It's not about destruction. It's not about Iran. The gospel is about you exhorting those fruits of the spirit from within and your character. You're supposed to change your character. Now, you can't change your race, but you could change your character. You could change your spirit. But guys are hooked on this race thing. Guys are hooked on races, making angels races and races and races and carnal and carnal and carnal. And a lot of you deep down, I'm just saying, man, a lot of you ain't right, man. A lot of you need to go fucking get yourself together, worried about teaching somebody something. And a lot of you just ain't right in the inside, man. The Lord talk about the mote in your eye, the beam in your eye. A lot of you guys got beam in your eyes. Even though we all might have flaws of the flesh, but deep down, guys have these issues where they don't even have the fruits of the spirit. And so they'll teach men hate. You got some men don't even teach, bro. Like, that's the thing. And then it's, like, I don't care what a man does with his life, but I know according to the scriptures, the Lord said you have to be fervent in spirit, not slothful, and to teach. Well, if a lot of guys are not exhorting that, then a lot of guys are not of the Lord. And I'm not even talking about guys in camps. This is why you just have to read men's spirit. And a lot of guys tell you through the spirit who they are. It don't matter about what race you are, what type of spirit you're in. That's why I did that lesson. What spirit are you in? Because if you can get past the flesh, then you can understand and you could read a man's spirit. You could tell if a man has hatred, jealousy, envy. You try to like have mercy on our people and work with them, but it gets to a certain point. You just have to let man be. So broad is the gate that leadeth to destruction. So it's not about you being a Israelite on the outside. That's carnal. That's carnal doctrine, which doesn't get you to focus on the fruits of the spirit. Because when you focus on the fruits of the spirit, now you have to have mercy and you have to forgive. So that's why men's doctrine has nothing to do with the spirit or forgiving enemies, because men's doctrine is carnal, holding you to the flesh, and it's of the world. So they're not of the spirit. So how can something evil, how can an evil tree bear good fruit? It's impossible. It's impossible. And guys throw shame on us and they talk down on the new covenant or whatever. Well, you got to look at it like, well, the reason they talk down on the new covenant is because they can't forgive their enemies and they don't have mercy and they can't get past race. They're stuck on the flesh. Talking about of the spirit, and then when we get in the new covenant, we'll have new bodies. What about your mind, man? You supposed to renew your mind right now. You don't get a new body, then you get a new mind. That don't make any sense. So really, the majority of the world, they don't have, the majority of the world is not good fruits. The majority of the world are evil fruits. You see what I'm saying? This is what you got to understand. Matthew 7 and 14, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few be there that find it. Few be there that find it. So that few don't start with groups and camps and thousands of people. Guys with 20,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, 5,000 subscribers, just say you're of the Lord, but then you make this up of the flesh. It don't even teach the fruits of the spirit because you don't have them in you. That's something you just got to have in you to teach the men the right thing. So if you don't have the fruits of the spirit, then you're not going to be able to teach men the right things. So your doctrine is going to be dominated by race and the world and what's happening in the world. You see, because you're not walking that straight gate. It's impossible for a man to be walking a straight gate in a broad path. You can't walk a straight. You can't walk. You can't be in a straight gate in a broad path. It don't work like that. And making this about race. It's not a race. You read a man through his spirit, and so we're reading man's spirit that's teaching this camp doctrine and races, and you're of the flesh. The fruits of the flesh are hate. You hate other races. That eliminates you right there. Men that are slothful in the spirit, that eliminates you right there. Men that are not amped to teach, that eliminates you right there. You're not of the spirit. Men that are teaching this in the spirit of hate, that eliminates you right there. It don't matter what you're teaching this in hate. You're teaching this in envy. Men not following what the Lord said, forgive their enemies, then that eliminates you. It don't matter what race you are. If you can't forgive, you're eliminated. It don't matter how much you could take the Bible and teach all these carnal things and use the Bible and be like a magician and bring all these scriptures. When you're coming from a spirit of hate, it's the spirit that you're teaching in, bro, that matters. You could teach, but if you're slothful, then that eliminates you of the spirit. If you could teach, if you're not amped to teach, if you don't really want to do this, then that eliminates you. You could teach, but then you're in the spirit of hate, that eliminates you. You're not of the spirit teaching that. So can nothing good come from something that is ultimately evil? You don't read a man by his race. Oh yeah, you're this race. You're on this sign, you can make it. No. It's if you're in this spirit, you're not going to make it. If you're in this certain spirit, you're not going to make it. That's what it should be. Instead of 12 tribe chart, you should be showing men, do they have the fruits of the spirit? The fruits of the spirit chart. Do you have these qualities of the spirit? Because if you have the spirit of hate and envy and evil, and you think nobody gonna the spirit ain't gonna search you out. That's what a lot of you guys think, man. And I play stupid with a lot of you guys that think I'm stupid. I just act like it with you. Because the spirit already searching a lot of guys out. And you have mercy and you give men time, but this is why you do have mercy and compassion to see if a man change. If he never change, if that eye offend thee, pluck it out. That has to do with certain men that's not willing to change either, as well as yourself. So can nothing good come out of something that's evil? That's what I'm getting at, and this is what the Lord is explaining to you. So if you make this about race, then I just say you're carnal, man. You're carnal, and you like to wear garments. You like to be seen. Like in Matthew 23, it says all their works they do to be seen of men. Well, he's letting you know that the wicked scribes and the Pharisees, the only thing they did this for is to be seen in garments. Just like how guys are doing now. That's why, personally, I don't do this to be seen. I do this to teach the ways of the spirit. So if you're not of the spirit, then it's easy to see. It's not about what race you are. You guys got this thing totally backwards because you're not of the spirit. This is why the Lord said in John 8 that you can't understand my words. Because the words of the new covenant don't have places in guys. The way of forgiveness don't have a place in guys. The way of mercy don't have a place in guys. That's why they never read you the fruits of the spirit. That's why you never hear these guys. Love what? Love your brother. And then so when they bring that out, they're always thinking carnal because they can't think beyond the physical plane. Matthew 7:14, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Beware of false prophets, what comes to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are wavering wolves. But inwardly are wavering wolves. If you're a ravening wolf, then that means inwardly you could act like you keep the law and you're such a good teacher and you go to the highways, or you can act like you teaching a new covenant, but really a lot of you guys are wolves because of your spirit. That's why this ain't about proving somebody race or proving the angels was a race of people, even though that's evil in itself. To teach that angels were races. So a lot of you guys, it ain't about what you're teaching. It's about how you're teaching, what spirit you're teaching that in. That's what you guys don't understand. So a lot of you guys teaching this in hate. You're teaching this in a slothful spirit. You're not even amped to teach. First of all, like I said, a lot of you guys wasn't even doing videos at all, man. You took the word and really you was hiding it in a napkin. And then a lot of you got inspired by certain of us teaching, and now you doing all this teaching, but then certain things you don't understand, so you'll make up a doctrine with it. That's why this ain't about pulling rabbits out of a hat or showing you the most knowledge. It's about what spirit are you in. And a lot of you guys, I'm gonna just say it like this: you've already showed what type of spirit you're in, what spirit you of. A lot of you have already showed that. So it's not really about what you're teaching anymore. Even though, yeah, you gotta have a certain understanding in the doctrine, but it's beyond that. A lot of you got low-key hate, envy, jealousy, murder. You see? You think this is a fad? I'm talking about certain guys of the new covenant. You could teach the new covenant, but you don't have the spirit of it. That's what matters. So if you're faking it, it shows. Matthew 7:15, beware of false prophets will come to you in sheep's clothing. Beware guys that teach the Bible, that go to the highways, or beware guys that say they teach in the new covenant. But inwardly, they're a bunch of fucking wolves. But inwardly, their life is all messed up. How can you tell somebody to get their life right when you're full of doubt and scarcity? You got certain guys, they're in a scarcity mind frame. That's just the truth. They don't see the good in nothing really. They're just scared. I don't want to do that. This could happen if the scared mind frame. This is why a lot of guys are in certain situations. And certain men will bring you down with them because they're in a certain mind frame they don't want to kick. These camps don't do nothing. You have to come totally out of that whole mind frame. And what these camps do, they put you in an unbelieving, doubting mind frame. Which for a lot of you that come out of camps is sad, but you can't really kick that loser or doubting mind frame. So guys make you think this is about race, but it's about the spirit the whole time, bro. Matthew 7:16, you shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. So if you're evil, you can't really bring nothing good. So it's about reading spirits. It says, every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast in the fire. So this is what Matthew 3 is talking about. Men will be cut off because they don't have the fruits of the spirit. They were teaching race. They were never teaching forgiveness or mercy or none of that. And certain guys that were teaching the new covenant, they were teaching this in hate. They were teaching this in slothfulness. They wasn't amped to teach. They really didn't have the fruits of the spirit. So not about just if you're an Israelite. That 12 tribe chart should be the fruits of the spirit chart. Do you have the fruits of the spirit? That's what it should be. Instead of the 12 tribe chart, it should be, do you have the fruits of the spirit chart? For real. Because you make this about race, then that shows to us, not to everybody else, because a lot of guys, they're carnal. You can fool them with that racist stuff. And we were fooled by that racist shit. Can't believe we were teaching that shit. Like Paul. Paul got knocked off that horse. He was doing the same thing you guys are doing. You hated the other nations. You hate Christians. All Christians was believers. A Christian can be a believer from another race. That's what a Christian is too. Christians don't just pertain to the Jews. That's why the scripture tell you that this is not of the flesh. So all you guys, the overwhelming majority of you guys teaching the Bible, a lot of you guys are of the flesh, man. And it's like you doubt men's ability to read your spirit. And then you go cry victim. That's what these camps, they're crying victim, victim, victim. Oh, he put us in slavery, so you're going to go into slavery. You're in the spirit of an eye for an eye. So it's not about proving what race you are or how you like your steak. It's not about that. It's about proving what spirit you're in. And men prove that. That's why you cannot be in the straight gate and the broad path, man. The straight gate is the lonely path. Only few gonna find. Because only few brothers are gonna be of the spirit totally. And with that, let me get out of here. I speak with you brothers later. Can nothing good come out of something evil? An evil person can partially show you some good things, but internally, ultimately, they're of the flesh. Hey, with that, man, I see you brothers on next with that. Hey, shalom.